1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Hi guys, my name is Reina. Welcome back to my channel. Today you can definitely tell I am going through all these setting powder, or some of them can be used as a pressed powder foundation, like high coverage version of it. These are all the ones that I've got with me here where I'm living. I am currently moving places, so I'm not necessarily doing declutter yet because I have another same amount at home. I need to gather them all together and then start to declutter. So this is basically showing my collection, and if you're wondering some of the products that you might see how I feel, then give you a bit of information before you go ahead and purchase it. So yeah, without further ado, let's just put them down and let's go through each individual of them. If you like today's video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, consider subscribe down below. I just did a concealer collection video recently, so make sure to leave it somewhere. I like doing these and I like watching these videos as well, so I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Anyway, let's just have a look of all of my powders here. Let's go with the loose powder first. First up, I have this designer brand Hydro Set Translucent Loose Setting Powder. This one with hyaluronic acid, green tea, and aloe vera as a skincare ingredient. This is definitely a dupe for the Becca, what is called the water, like the wet setting powder. It feels exactly the same, very wet on your face and yet also very powdery, not in a bad way, although when I applied it I sneezed a couple times, and every time when I open this, I don't know if you can see that, it's like but once it's set on your face, you feel quite highly moisturized. I do think the skincare ingredients in there was working for me, and I don't feel too dry, although it gives you quite like a mattified finish. I actually really enjoy this, apart from the powdery formula that is just, you know, tend to splatter all around. Like you can tell here, the next product, the Modus Prefer one, is already covered by the dust from designer brand, so it's definitely not a travel friendly product. I definitely have to sit it upright like this to store it, and I think by the time when I move, this one is gonna be a disaster because it will get it everywhere. But I do really like this one, and this is not that expensive. And then next up is this, oh so dirty because of the designer brand's powder. This is the Modus Prefer Professional Mineral Finish Veil. I think this is a dupe for, which one? Hourglass. Yes, the Hourglass Finish Veil. I don't have the Hourglass one, and to be honest, I know so many people rave about it, and it is good. Like, I like it, but it's not my favorite. Let's just put it this way. First of all, I hate this packaging. Did you see the mirror here? I don't even have to cover it. Because of the powder, how they designed it, is a whole compact, the mirror, you can never use it because it's always like this. And then it's really hard to get the product out. Every time when I use it, I have put it upside down and sort of tap at the bottom to actually get the product out from the holes here. So I was actually buying another, like a compact to store this separately, but it never arrived from AliExpress. I think due to pandemic, that order just lost somewhere. The powder itself is not heavy. You can tell it's giving you sort of this white color. It does feel very nice once you get onto your skin, but I just think this one, sometimes if I apply too much, it can get a bit too heavy, so I really need to control the amount that I use. This might not be the one that I will repurchase, or at least maybe I need to play a little bit more to see if I can find a better way of using it. The few times that I've used it for a couple months. I don't think I just fell in love as much as a lot of other YouTubers, which I think it's a shame because I want to make it work. I want to make it work for me. Another loose powder that I really like, this is the RCMA powder. So I've got this compact from AliExpress before to store it because they came with that pepper sort of bottle there. I can't make it work for me. So I have half of them at home and the other half here is with me. I used to like it so much. This one creates a instant filtering finish on your face. Back in the days when I first bought this one, there was no such things that from such a good price point that you can get. So I really enjoyed it, and I used a ton of it. Like, I can't remember how big the bottle that I bought. It could be the bigger one, and I've only got half left at home, and I've got half from here. here. So I've used a lot of this product. It is a little bit heavy on the face because it created a filtering finish. If you're having a dry skin, I do recommend just use a little bit. If you have an oily skin, you can add a little bit more, but it does not hold the oil, it does not control the oil very well. It only giving you that sort of filtering finish and mattify your foundation as well. So I will use it up and I still really enjoyed it, but I'm not quite sure if I want to repurchase because there's just so many good ones out there these days from the drugstore. It's just, you know, it's no longer a holy grail in my opinion like it used to be. And then we have this e.l.f. under eye setting powder. This is the one that I've been using in my 2021 project pan. I've already used a lot. I'm really happy with my progress. I'm not quite sure if you can see here. They've recently changed their packaging to a round sort of container. I really like this container, but I've also prefer a round one. It's easier for me to store it. One thing I have to complain about it is because how little this bottle is. It's really hard to get the product out. So I usually use another setting powder, for example the Essence one in my project pan, and I'll just dip it on this half and then to blend it under my eyes. Or I have to use a quite small like a concealer buffing brush from Zoeva, a Cosmetics, their magic eraser as well. That is a little bit bigger but still fits in here well, and then apply it under my eyes. It really brightens up and is not heavy. It's not crazy. I really do like this powder, so I'm even thinking getting another one once I finish this at the end of this year. And then I have a couple more loose powder over here. These two are actually exactly the same from Kat Von D. This is my 2020 birthday gift and my 2019 birthday gift from Sephora. This is their Locket setting powder in the color Translucent. I like to use this at my entire face but also under my eyes. It definitely locks everything, and because it's translucent, it's not adding any color on top of it. I do really like how it mattifies everything and it's holding the makeup quite longer. I don't know if you can tell, although it's translucent, I think it sort of like smooths the skin as well as a final touch up. I do really like it and it controls my oil so well. This is probably one of the best setting powder that I've got here with me that controls my oil and make the makeup last a lot longer. Hydrating wise, it's definitely the designer brands. And here I've got another Kat Von D loose powder. This is their brightening powder. After I tried the other two, the Sephora sent it to me. I don't think this one is as impressed as the other two that I received from the birthday. It is a quite strong peach color, you can tell. It does definitely counteract that sort of really dark circle if you have and brighten up the skin. If you don't have that, and if you having a quite fair skin and you use this as a setting powder, it will actually make your under eye darker than your foundation, so you need to watch out your skin undertone. For me, it's like just right. I can't even use a lot. I have to use a tiny bit, but the good thing is a little bit goes a long way, so this translucent powder is gonna last me forever. Apart from the color shade, I think everything else is really good. It's also making the foundation last a bit longer, and under my eyes it's not drying. For a under eye setting powder, make my concealer stays longer and is not drying. It's pretty much everything that I'm after, and it's brightening up a little bit. This one brightens up in a different way compared to the e.l.f. one. This is just a lighter color as in brightening up. This one counteract that sort of dark circle and then give you that brightening effect. So if you don't have a lot of dark circles, don't go for the color version from Kat Von D because it's not worth it. You can just go get their translucent one and that will be enough for you. Alright, now let's go to all of my pressed powders here. I've got a couple Essence one I'll quickly talk about. I actually got 3. This one, Essence All About Matte Fixing Compact. Oh, this is from the Kat Von D powder. This is from my project pan. You can see this is really needs to go, and I've used quite a lot since I introduced in my first video. I'm very happy with my progress. This is used to be my favorite when I first start makeup, and that's when I only have 2 powder. The loose powder was the RCMA and the pressed powder is this Essence one. It doesn't control the oil very well, but it definitely mattifies your finish. So I think I really like that to set my foundation and I don't feel tacky afterwards. But these days there are so many other ones and give you different finishes, luminous, and they're also set the powder and they also set the foundation so well. So I will not repurchase this, and I think if you want to go purchase another one, they do have this, which I'm going to talk about it now, the You Better Work York Gym Proof Plus Waterproof Fixing Powder. This one works really similar. I almost thought they're exactly the same. Comes with a little sponge. I used a dry sponge to apply this the other day, and then it sort of just dried and cracked, so I have to scratch it out off. This one have a really similar formula to the All About Matte powder that I just mentioned, but I think it holds the foundation a little bit better. Oil control wise, they're very similar, but it does make the makeup last longer. That is probably where they get that gym approved. So if you want to pick one of these two, if you can find this one still, I don't know if they still sell this at Priceline, because a lot of Essence products seems to be a temporary limited edition. Go for this one. I think this is actually working a little bit better. And then I have this Essence Brighten Up Peach Powder. I think this was new last year. It's no longer a new product now. They've actually expand their like powder range a lot ever since that All About Matte Fixing Compact Powder, and this was one of their extended range. I bought this one thinking it can replace, or as an alternative, like a pressed powder version of that Kat Von D peach powder. I don't think this one gives much of peachy color compared to the Kat Von D. It's very mild, so it's not counteract my under eye as good as Kat Von D, but I do have a very dark under eye. If you have a paler skin and your dark circle is not that dramatic, this one might actually works for you a bit better. I just think it's a quite standard brightening powder. I sort of regretted that I got this because I really don't needing to have this one. If it's only giving me this sort of color counteracting ability, I can just use my e.l.f. loose powder. So I'll just see how I go with this one. I might eventually declutter this, but I've just got it at the end of last year, maybe October, and I haven't used it that much to give my final verdict there. It's not expensive, but I don't think you need to go get it. Alright, let's talk about this one. This is a refill compact of the Giorgio Armani, what is it called? One of their luminous finish powder. I can't even remember the name. I've got in the shade 1.5. It matches me very well, and I really enjoy this. I'm so happy that I purchased this one. I just need to get a compact holder so it's no longer, because it's already broken around here. I've already dropped it a few times, and I'm so glad the powder is still nice and intact. So if you are wanting to have a luminous sort of setting powder and it's not heavy, not too shimmery, and you are aiming for a department store sort of powder, it's worth for you to save the money for it. I do really like this, and I highly recommend this. Alright, other luminous powder, since we're getting into that category, I've got three Models Preferred ones here. I believe these three comes within one pack, and this is one of their limited edition. This is their Soft Touch Mineral Powder. I really do like these as well. The shimmer that you give from this one, or the glow radiant, whatever you call it, getting from these powders, definitely gonna be a little bit more drama or obvious compared to the Giorgio Armani one that I just mentioned. But from a drugstore sort of price point and the amount of product that you get is still very worth the money. So I've got in three different shades. This one is Filter Finish. I don't know if you can see that on the back of my hand. This one almost can work as a very subtle highlighter, but you can definitely use it all across your face, because I did swatch a lot to actually show that color payoff. I really do like it. This is one of those champagne-ish color. If you are looking for a summer-ish glow, this is definitely to go for. And then I've got in Soft Focus. This is a little bit of pinky in the pan. This one from the swatch you can tell is having a bit more pinkish shade, and you can see I've scratched this one. The cover on this one, it's almost like the Wet n Well Photo Focus. They have like a film on it. You really have to scrape it off and then to get the product showing very well on your face. Otherwise, the brush doesn't pick up much. So I did all three. I think I did similar things. But this is the one that I experienced the most of that problem. I really have to scrape it off the first sort of a layer and to actually get a color show on my face. And then I've also got this called Radiant Bronze. This is the one that if you're really looking for that tan look, I sometimes even use it as a bronzer-ish product because it is quite dark for my skin, but I can also use it as a full face luminous setting powder. So I think these three are quite a versatile as well. These three here are having a bit of more pigmentation in terms of their color, particularly like the bronze color here, and I like to use it if I happen to get a foundation that was too light for my skin. Once I set everything, I realized it's too pale. I use this just to warm it up and it works pretty well. And so is the other two. If you want to add that glow with different colors on it on your face, I do recommend this whole line. And the regular line, I've got a couple at home, but I don't have here with me though. And speaking of like baked powder, let's just talk about this White n Well Photo Focus pressed powder. I've got in the shade 821E called Warm Light. This one I've used ton of it, like it's no longer having that dome there. I really enjoyed it. This one gives a little bit of coverage. I can use it as a pressed powder foundation. I can also work it to set my foundation. It gives a nice setting finish. Like photo focus, like what it claims. It's not heavy and it blends so easily. Very creamy texture. I can't believe it's from the drugstore. I'm not such a big fan for their foundation. I've already decluttered that one, but this powder is absolutely staying. I love it. And then another powder gives a bit of a high coverage is this Australis Fresh and Flawless Pressed Powder, oil and fragrance free. I do have in the shade Light Beige. This shade for me is a little bit light for me if I'm going to use it as a pressed powder foundation. I probably should go one shade darker, but I bought this one as a powder to sort of brightening up and set my face. It does the job. It works so well, particularly if I used a tinted sunscreen that I don't want to apply any makeup, and though sunscreen seems to give a little bit oil shine, I just pat it with this one, adding a bit of a coverage and also neutralize the color, because tinted sunscreen seems to be a little bit dark for most of the time, and it also brighten up my skin and it lasts all day long as well. I don't know if you can tell, I think I made a little bit of a dent there, and they do also give you a little mirror at the back as well as a little compact here. I don't use this compact very often. I still just prefer a brush. But I really do recommend this if you're looking for a bit of a higher coverage powder foundation, but also a setting powder. Fresh and Flawless line, particularly this powder, really good. Their foundation is also good as well. I like their foundation. And then we have two products here. I think they're okay, but not highly raved. First, this is the Maybelline Super Stay Powder Long Wear Powder in the color 30 Sand. I've used up one of this one before, but in the color Fair, I believe. I repurchased this one because that one was too light for me, but this sand color is too dark for me. I used to love it because it gives a good coverage and lasts all day long, but I think it's a little bit heavy on my face, and that's when I really don't have much of options at the time. So I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna go with this one this time. I might have to eventually declutter this because it's not my perfect shade and it's heavy, so I really don't think of using this. Consider how many other powders I've got here in my collection. So yeah, it's a maybe product here. And then the last but not least, I have this Covergirl True Blend powder. I've got in the shade 1 Translucent. I actually bought a wrong one. I was thinking getting the Healthy Glow pressed powder, but that one's already discontinued. I really wanted to get that one. It never came to Australia, to be honest, but there's a little while Catch was selling it and I missed it. I thought this one was the same for some reason when I was looking on the Chemist Warehouse website. You can tell this one is having quite a bit of particle here from the pan. When you apply it on your face, you don't notice that. I just don't think it's nice, fine. It's not a very nice creamy texture compared to a lot of the other ones I mentioned. The Maybelline one is so creamy, but it was heavy though. I think this one works fine. It sets the makeup and it, you know, mattified it, maybe helping the makeup last a little bit longer, but nothing too impressive compared to some of the ones I just mentioned. I might eventually get rid of it if this, you know, is getting a bit of hard pan. I just don't think it has a special like tag that I can put on this powder and I say, oh, if you are particular skin, if you are looking for particular finish, you should go and get it. Not like that, you know, it's just very average drugstore performance. So here's all my face setting powders. I've got 7 loose powder here, although these two are exactly the same, and then the rest are the pressed powder. In total, I've got 18 here. This is way too many. I absolutely know it. I want to get the rest all together and then I do a declutter. It's just me giving me another excuse holding on to it, but I can see this one's going to be get out of my collection, and pretty much this one and this and probably this as well, and this will be out. Definitely going to use it up a little bit more next year, or I don't know, and then I'll get rid of it. So by getting rid of those, it's still more than 10. So we'll see how we go with this, but this is like a very beginning intro of getting into my collection, and then we'll go through that whole decluttering process. Alright, so that is everything for today's videos. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and consider subscribe down below. I am also planning to do my foundation, primer, face palette, eyeshadow. Eyeshadow is a big project and I don't know how I'm going to show it because I have 2 drawers full of eyeshadows and half them I've never used. I know it's bad, but I like collecting them. So frustrating. Also like highlighter, blush, bronzer, all that sort of stuff. So if you like all these content, maybe consider subscribe down below so you don't miss a future video like this. And I will be going through decluttering once I settle myself down in the new place and gather all of my collections together. So those will be coming up later this year. Yes, there's a big project. I know. But anyway, I hope you stay safe and stay positive, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.